Alright, so my name is Connor Blethyn,
I'm Austin Hinkle.
and we are investigating what the uses and applications of anatomical robots that are a whole bunch of different anatomies or behaviors added to them. So the objective of it is to see what can we accomplish with robots that have different characteristics from the overall structure of the robot itself or to what it does. And the methodology of it is we have three different goals. I'll get to that in the next slide. I don't have any show and tell for anybody like that. That was great. But basically, the first goal is to understand if any robot can be programmed to understand the anatomy of certain organisms such as the human body, and to see if it can perform any surgeries or anything that could be helpful in the medical field, for example, on the organism without causing any problems, or a number of other things from having robots that can behave in certain ways that can be helpful to humanity. Its relevance is, we'll talk about its relevance is what it's based off of, make sure it's not too crazy, and any kind of real world applications for it.
The objective is determining whether or not robots can handle this, and we can make them superior to past robots. So robots that are now functioning, we can make it more efficient. And then the hypothesis is anatomical modifications to robots will directly improve the effectiveness of modern robots. So we hope to improve robots on where they are now and make them more efficient.
So the first goal was to, as I said already, was to see if robots can be programmed to understand anatomy of certain organisms. But the second one was, and there's also a third, but it's not in there, but the second one is to see if you can design robots with the features of certain animals, like as we learned last week on Wednesday, the gecko, which I had to make a comment here after class about that because it was kind of funny, but also the hummingbird itself. You have this hummingbird, its wings, the way that it functions in general, it uses its wings to flap in a figure eight kind of thing, but a three-dimensional type figure eight, which allows it to hover and have the highest mobility of any bird out there. He's over here nodding his head at me. But we hope to apply that into robots and stuff so that you can, it's probably, we don't know, that's what we're testing, if it's more useful than having little fans underneath it and on the sides and stuff, blah, all over the place. No. But the third one was to see if you could have robots that could mimic the behavior of animals, which is called biomimicry, as I was enlightened on by Professor Staub a little bit. Thank you. But basically, you want to have robots that can mimic behavior such as, for example, you have swarm behavior. You can use it for any kind of military purposes. You could have it for blending in with other animals. So basically, you have a big swarm of locusts. You have a big swarm of birds. That's not a swarm; it's a flock. But you have basically animals that can mimic the behavior and follow other animals around, doing things with them to help study. Use that, and other kind of different goals and opportunities and stuff. So its relevance is it goes under anatomy and ethology. Ethology is the study of animal behavior. Biomimicry is the study of basically everything. You have the behavior of animals and plants, but not specifically to what they do, but their actual bodily structure. So you have a leaf that has its water system. It's one of the most complex water systems, but the most effective that we know of in the world. And basically you could use biomimicry to have robots that are far more effective in their overall functioning. Maybe they can distribute oil or something to themselves better. So it's right there, but plants, because you don't have to stay with animals. You can do everything. It's nature. Nature solves more problems than we have.
The goal is to create better robots and make the robots better and effective to find anatomy, and robotics with programming and nanotech to combine all these branches together to make it more effective. And we're going off base designs of complex anatomies of animals and plants. So, makes things better. And the possible accompanying applications are computers to help with programming or making more games, better games. Military to make better drones, to fly more efficient, to do things more efficient. Medical robots to perform surgeries, like heart transplants. Production factories make life safer for workers, human workers. And then mining, make it safer for humans as well. It's a very dangerous job. Surveillance, to effectively watch over people.
Before anybody freaks out about this one right here, the whole heart surgery stuff, you're not just gonna have a robot just go in there and, oh, let's change somebody's heart today. No, we don't trust that yet. We're not that crazy. So what you'll probably have is you'll have a robot that more or less, you take a scan of a body that you're trying to do a transplant on or whatever, and you basically 3D print it. And you have the robot more or less practice on the 3D printed version, or you could use, I forget what it's called, but they use it for testing ballistics gel. You could mold it out of ballistics gel so that you can have this robot be able to move through and be like, ooh, what should I do in this situation? Because we all know that the human body is rather weird. It likes to do random stuff. So you don't want it having some random stuff happen in the middle of your robot doing a heart transplant, right? I mean, you'll die. You don't want that. But we don't know if it will be more useful than having some jittery, probably sometimes occasionally shaky doctor in you as well. So there's a whole bunch of different applications. And also the surveillance. You have robots that move around with cameras in their eyes, more or less. You're not just, random cameras. No. You're talking about robots like the gecko, for example. You basically stick some nanotech cameras in its eyeballs, and you have it running all over walls. You have it climbing on the roofs and stuff. But you add certain other anatomical features like skin that has a tendency of camouflage. So you add it so that it can crawl on these walls, for example, and you wouldn't even notice it because it's white. Hits the floor, turns gray. Bunch of different kind of applications for it. So these are just our sources. So, but anyways, that's all I got. I don't have show and tell. That was.
All right, questions? Thank you, guys. Questions? Any questions? Okay, got questions.
How many years in the future do you think it will take for people to build programming robots to do exactly what they want?
Exactly what they wanted to do? That's probably a long time away. Not too far, but I would guesstimate them at like around 10 years. I don't think it's too close.
Could you please go to the title screen so we can get your names?
So what?
You go back to the title screen so we can get their names. Thank you.
Any other questions?
What
there's a
exactly was
question.
the title of your project? I must have missed that. Okay,
I'm retarded and I stuck it on the second slide.
okay. So the robotic,
That's tentative though.
That's tentative.
That's tentative because it's not an original title at all. I'm guessing. It sounds very, very common, to be honest.
Have you chosen exactly what robot you're going to focus on first?
I wanted to focus on the hummingbird, but then I realized that the hummingbird isn't exactly it's not exactly a social bird. I mean, it is, but it's not, let's travel in a big group. And I wanted to kind of add in the biomimicry stuff. So I was deciding on studying different things like swarm behavior. So any kind of animal that has swarm behaviors or flock behaviors travels in big groups, not packs of like wolves, for example, but big groups, like 100 plus.
Can you go back to the names?
Everybody wants the names. My name must be hard to spell.
So what do you intend to deliver at the end of the semester here, given it's like so broad? It's like there's so many robots, okay? So I guess the very important part of this is for you guys to somehow plan out of which of these, and you pick this obviously you are so interested on pursuing this in your degree. And so as what we have already known that, you know, developing or enhancing robotics that's not gonna take for 10 years, maybe for 20, you know, or more. So, given the scope of time that you have, what did you intend to actually be able to deliver at the end of the semester? Are you gonna be able to name now, okay, this is the kind of animal or the plant, or is that your main objective, or you're gonna be getting into now the plan of, okay, let's say there's already something there that's related to hummingbird. Are you enhancing that, or what is your main goal at the end of the semester, given the time period?
The main goal of the entire investigation is see if it's plausible, if it's, you know, like if you can even do it at all, if it's even useful in the end. Obviously, Austin and I are not experienced enough or knowledgeable enough to go in there and start building robots that can do some fancy stuff. But we want to know if it's actually possible in the end. If somebody would, or maybe us in the future, or somebody else currently can even do it at all.
So are you intending to actually conceptualize a new robot, or are you trying to conceptualize an enhancement of an existing robot? I guess that's what I wanted to draw the line. What is really your intent within this time period? You know, given the short period that you have, we all know that you can't do anything that's tangible immediately, right? But what is the plan? My plan is to enhance a now existing hummingbird or a now existing gecko, or I'm starting from scratch. And so I'm gonna, you know, lay out this conceptually.
It's to enhance. It's
To
not
enhance something,
yeah,
okay.
You know, it's rather hard to start from scratch. Nowadays,
Okay.
there's 7 billion people in the world right now, and there was a lot more beforehand, so there's no really original ideas. But we do want to enhance what we already have. You know, you can use.
So are you going to do that hummingbird somehow?
Right, that was
enhance
just an
that part?
example, but,
You don't know yet
right,
at this point.
right, it's,
So that's one of the accomplishment that you'll have is
correct,
find that whatever you're really interested in and then see how you can enhance that.
yes.
Okay. Fair enough. Any other questions? Nope. Okay.